and colleagues, brothers and sisters in the field has been really a blessing that we all can be here today together, you know, and share information and reach out for guest speakers, people who are well known in the fields, in their fields, and they're willing to speak to us and educate us more in areas that we need to learn more about. One thing that I want to start with, that I would like to thank the associations that hosting this meeting. On top of them are IIA Egypt, Mr. Hossam Fahmy, the president, and his board, the Mr. Serge Andezian, the ACFE chapter and his board, IIA Jordan, Mr. Ahmed Qasmi and his board, ISACA Jordan, Mr. Hossam Khattab and his board, and I add to this the boards of the ACFE Egypt chapter and the ACFE Jordan chapter. Thank you very much for getting together, working together, helping our members together and beyond. Not only our members, but beyond our members. I can see colleagues, professionals, again, brothers and sisters from all over the world are joining us today and have joined us in previous sessions. And I'm very happy to do that and to see this and to continue doing this. And I want to tell you, from seeing some of the names today, I would like to reach out to you to for future, if you're willing to join future sessions or to speak in future sessions. I'd like to get a partnership also with the ACCA and have a speaker from there to speak with us. I can see, and I think my dear friend here with us today can tell who I'm talking about. And then for the benefit of everybody. So thank you again for being with us today, and thank you all the professional associations and members of those associations that joining us today. I would like to say, if you have a question, please write it down in the chat room. And I'm sorry.
Open mic, it's okay.
Yeah, okay. If you have a question, write it down in the chat, and Mr. Rudy will answer the question, and I will make sure, based on time and space and everything, that your questions are answered. I would like you also now to join me to welcome Mr. Rudy Shoushany. Mr. Rudy Shoushany is our guest speaker for today. And I want to thank him very much for accepting our invitation and to come and speak to us about a very important topic nowadays that we're all experiencing, which is the ICT governance and the threats that we could be having as a result of the COVID-19 that has switched the whole world into IT business-based. Mr. Rudy Shoushany is an expert with over 20 years of work experience in ICT strategy, governance, policy, cybersecurity, digital transformation. Mr. Rudy is a board member of the ISACA Chapter of Lebanon, chair of ICT Governance, Committee of the ISACA Chapter in Lebanon. He's a member of the Governance Committee at the National Council of Entrepreneurs and Innovation in Lebanon, member of the Strategy Committee of Digital Transformation Network. Also, he's a member of the IT Syndicate in Lebanon. Mr. Rudy has received his education from Boston University in Digital Transformation Strategy, Stanford University, Cybersecurity and Executive Strategy, Executive Leadership and Coaching from PwC, University of South Africa, Computer Science, Governance of Enterprise ICT of ISACA. Well, it's a diverse education, Mr. Rudy. I don't know how did you do that, South Africa to Stanford to, but when you look for the education, when somebody look for the education, it doesn't matter where you go and how you get it. And this is what we are about today. You know, we're getting together to learn from each other and learn as well from Mr. Rudy today. Mr. Rudy is also a trainer and a coach and a consultant in digital transformation, fintech, cybersecurity, corporate governance, and GDPR, and obviously, and more. Thank you, Mr. Rudy, and welcome. And we do really appreciate your time and acceptance of our invitation. The floor is yours. Thank you.
What an introduction, Yani. Thank you a lot, Mr. Hossam.
Well, you deserve it. You have it. So I need to mention it.
Well, I'd like to say thank you for the audience and for the participants today that joined us and who just joined us, and hopefully more will be joining us. I'm actually very happy participating here today with you, because this alliance of associations is really what we all need. More alliances, more working together, and more producing for our region, the Arab region, and today with Egypt and Jordan and Lebanon, because we need unity. So no further ado, let me start the presentation.
I must say, Mr. Rudy, that we have members from all over the world, from Canada, Africa, Middle East, everywhere.
You're all welcome.
Yes.
So our topic today is ICT governance in time of COVID-19. It could be ICT corporate governance, and I will highlight later on why corporate governance. We must start actually adding the word corporate governance, ICT corporate governance. Okay, I will not introduce myself. I just want to do a confession. I'm sure everybody felt the same. And I just want to wish everybody was safe and their relatives are safe, and they were safe during the time of COVID. Because now most of us worked from home or still working from home. And whatever is the case, we need to focus on our jobs also, and we need to produce in our society. So the confession is work from home, the expectation versus the reality. Sometimes it can be funny with a lot of things that can happen on the camera. And now I know the houses of all my friends, all my colleagues, so it's another aspect that we didn't actually before tackled. So technology plays a key role in current and rebuilding economies, because we're currently in an economy and then we have to rebuild the economy due to what happened. And we need cooperation in and after COVID-19. So just to highlight, the use of the technology today has been so huge versus 5 months ago. We were going in a digital transformation, but the biggest driver today of this digital transformation is COVID-19 or Corona. Companies, government, and society needs to make full use of digital technologies to confront the COVID-19 pandemics. And I was involved in many different NGOs in Lebanon using the technology, the field that I know, and try to produce solutions and help the society in Lebanon to try to enhance, try to save lives, try to whatever, using the technology. So there's a lot of reliance again on the technology. With this, mentioning these two, risks and challenges arise. Resilience, recovery, the new reality of work from home. I think work from home will be somehow a new reality that we have to live for, not just in time of Corona or in time of COVID, and not just post-COVID. I think this is a new scenario that now it proves that working from home is valid. The safety of the staff. Okay, so we need to do auditing, we need to continue the auditing, we need to continue the IT operations, we need to continue the security or the information security. We have the privacy to worry about. We have the capacity of the systems, because before we knew how much capacity we want, we focused it on our customer. Today, the focus has shifted. It's our customer and our employees, staff, and definitely the continuity of business. So with the world economic, cyber attacks and data fraud was ranked high due to the sustained shift in working patterns. So because things has changed today, normally we would have been on a desktop at work, the security has been implemented, everything is in control, everything is okay. Suddenly, overnight, everybody is working from their home on their personal laptops, personal computers, no security, no privacy, not even policies, because our old policies didn't cater, well, most of us didn't cater working from home, because that was not an option. And if it was an option, it was for certain niche of possibly support or certain niche of management. So with this new risks, what do we need to do? Here is the big question. And with this, I give you two pills, all right? If you've seen the movie, The Matrix, you have the blue pill and the green pill. And this is our solution today. Which one will you take and what decision will you do today that will affect you for the future? So IT governance framework have already been implemented at organization level in many countries, not just in the region. I just want to highlight quickly our 3 regions in the area today, that in Lebanon, the implementation of corporate ICT governance is still shy. There has been a lot of implementations on the corporate governance. There has been a lot of implementation on some circulars related to information technology, information security, business continuity, cybercrime, IT security, but they're still lacking the main structure or the main committees and formalizing the role of IT governance in organization, and especially in the corporate governance world. In Jordan is more advanced. They adopted Circular 65/2016, that is around about 4 years ago. And it was adjusted also not long ago to update it to the new version. So it's a full implementation of COVID 5 and COVID 2019 later on, and a structure of risk management, IT risk management, IT audit, IT project management. So there has been a lot of work done on that front, and which is excellent. On Egypt, I have personally looked a lot of times, and especially the last couple of days. If I am mistaken, and please, if someone knows, do correct me. I have not seen any ICT governance initiatives. I only seen it mentioned in the Egypt 2030 plan, and that's it. There's nothing else. So if I'm wrong, please someone do correct me in the chat. So implementing the IT governance at national level will deliver better benefits to the organization. And this is proven. all over the world. That's why the mentality of corporate governance today, before IT governance is adopted and is a must. It has its failures, it has its challenges, but today you need to add to it the technology side. And please, again, if you have any questions, do post them in the chat. Okay, so information and communication technology governance framework, or information and technology governance framework, is a type of framework that defines the way, structures, methods through which an organization can implement, manage, direct, and monitor IT governance. Okay, so it's a structure, and it helps us as a framework to really monitor information technology. I will mention here this framework, which is COVID, and today we are using version 19, which is the newest version, which was released last year. And this COVID-19, it defines the components to build and sustain a governance system. It talks about processes. It talks about organizational structures, what we're supposed to do with the organizational structures. It talks about principles, policies, and procedures. It talks about information, cultures, ethics, and behavior. It talks about people, skills, and competencies, services, infrastructure, and application. And as you see, it really entails a lot of functions that usually when you mention IT, all right, you mention the technology part, whereas COVID framework, it's a business framework for IT. It's not a technical framework. It's not ITIL. It's not anything that is really technical. On the contrary, it's more of a business framework, so the business people can be involved in it. IT governance is concerned with the value delivery. That's the difference. From digital transformation and the mitigation of business risks that results from digital transformation. So there's a digital transformation that is happening. This digital transformation has risks. More specifically, three main outcomes. First one is benefit realization. So what is benefit realization today? This consists of creating value. Okay, so if any project you create does not give value, in the end of the day, it's not important. We don't need it. For the enterprise, through information and technology, maintain and increase value derived from existing information and technology investments, and eliminating IT initiative and assets that are not creating sufficient value. And how many examples we have seen in the last years that a lot of projects, they are implemented, they are not actually aligned to the business strategy, and there is no value in them. So this is where comes this framework and helps in achieving such a thing. The second one, which is risk optimization. So with technology comes risks. This entails addressing the business risk associated with the use of ownership, operation, involvement, influence, and adoption of the information and technology within an enterprise. Information and technology related business risk consists of information and technology related events that could potentially impact the business. So we need to focus also on the second one, on the risk. Resource optimization. This ensures that appropriate capabilities are in place to execute the strategic plan and sufficient, appropriate, and effective resources are provided. And we have seen it a lot that there's a lot of implementation and there's a lot of projects where qualified and efficient and enough resources are available to actually implement. So this has a value, and it comes when you open, if you remember the one before, people, skills, and competencies. Okay, let me circulate this. This, when you open it and you start checking it, evaluating this part of the governance system, it has the skills that is needed per function and per team. hold on, sorry, clear. Okay. So in the light of digital transformation and now COVID-19, information and technology have been crucial in the support, sustainability, growth of the enterprise, and sometimes survival. Because we've seen today also companies who have failed in business continuity or disaster recovery, or even creating new types of services using the digital transformation. And I will talk about an example here just in 1 minute. Technology is a must. Digital transformation is here, and digital transformation is here to stay. So previously, governing boards, which is board of directors, and senior management could delegate, ignore, or avoid information technology. And this is a reality. We've seen it. In most sectors and industries, such attitude is now ill-advised. You cannot delegate the accountability of a governance or oversight of IT to the management, and you cannot remove that from the board. Today, with all of what's happening, a lot of risk from cybersecurity to digital transformation and so on and so on. We have in Lebanon, I'm sure you've seen it today, that a lot of big shops, especially consumers and electronic consumers during the Corona time and the COVID, we all wanted laptops. So who was providing laptops? We started looking on the internet, and there were not many other than the computer shops. So if we go to places, for example, I'm not sure what names you have, but it differs. We have here something called Khoury Home, which is a big retailer of consumer electronics. He doesn't have online shopping. So he did not go into the digital transformation. He was number one, but he didn't have any channel, online channel, to sell his stuff. So there's a lot of people that took that market due to the bad digital transformation strategy that was not there. So he didn't create an opportunity. That was a risk for him to close his business. And he's big time suffering. So what are the challenges? Okay, so what are the challenges of the board of directors and executive in this uncertain time today, where we are living today? Travel restrictions, everybody cannot travel unless it's an emergency who is coming back home or whatever. Social distancing, quarantines, and other measures will often hinder a physical meeting. So you cannot actually meet. So as a strategic board, you want to meet to take decisions now, you cannot meet. And you have not done a scenario in your risk assessment on the board and approved by the board was related to a virus that goes malware throughout everybody, throughout the world. It goes fanatic. Nobody has planned this. The likelihood of this happening was far low. Nobody put it on the agenda of the board. And that was a big mistake. And today we can feel it. So with this happening today, the physical meetings, you cannot do them anymore. You have to have somehow a meeting. So if you were not planned for online board meetings, this is a big problem, and it depends on the jurisdictions also. Do you have the laws for this? Do you have the company laws for this? Because if you don't have also governmental laws or regulator laws regarding this online meetings and whatever, it's going to be an extra value added, not value, that's going to be an extra problem. For example, I'll take UAE. The CMA authority has allowed in January, February, March, April, I think April, has allowed everybody, all the companies, to actually meet. They did a regulation, a circular for them to meet. So it depended on the country and the regulator, how they were also adaptive to this situation. So the board of directors now, we have a challenge was communication of the board of directors, and you need signatures and you need all of this. So were we ready for this? Was there an information and technology governance part of board of directors? And this is the big question today about our topic. Did the board of directors talk about information technology governance? If yes, because some of the people said yes previously, was it effectively managed? And now is the time to go back and review all of these policies. Was it you have or you don't. So was communication secured timely due to distribution of traditional channels? Everybody was used to face-to-face. Now you need new channels. Is it secure? Is it not secure? Does it have, is it super advanced? Is there cameras, laptops? Some people don't have laptops. Did the board meeting occur during these last 4 months? That's another question, and that's another flag. Was there board meetings or no? Legality of remote, again, here we talk about them. Document signing, you need to sign documents. So how would you do it? Would you give it to somebody and that somebody will run to all of these board members? And if you have a board member traveling, how would you solve it? Was there any electronic signature available? Is it legal? Is it not legal? So I'm talking purely on that board of directors level. So COVID-19 is actually testing boards today in all areas of responsibilities. And why am I focusing on this? Because this is the starting point of IT governance. If it's not coming from up to down approach, the whole governance program will actually suffer a lot. And believe me, I have lived it. So risk oversight is a key and a new unforeseen issue. One of the primary responsibility of the board of directors is risk oversight. Board must understand the risk facing the companies they oversee, and they must ensure that management has implemented appropriate measures to identify, monitor, and manage those risks. For example, COVID. Companies have to implement their pre-pandemic business continuity plans. I don't know how much pandemic business continuity plans were available. And if you don't mind, we didn't prepare a poll, but can you, on Zoom, can you just raise your hand of how many of you had a pandemic plan prepared? Just give you 30 seconds. Just raise your hand using Zoom tools. Okay, we have one. If you can be interactive, I really appreciate it. Okay, I'll just wait 10 more seconds. So I will assume one only out of the current 27 participants has a pandemic plan. Exactly, and this is the point. So with that, business continuity plans, physical distancing, work from home policies have been the norm, but they're not there. Companies that have invested in more comprehensive business continuity planning and technology before the pandemic may have an advantage in managing the crisis. They might.
Rudy, there is someone who raised the hand.
Yes.
Another said we're not aware of it. So.
Okay. So I would assume all of us.
Exactly. It took us by surprise, I guess.
Yeah. So let's continue on the board, and then we moved on to more hopefully fun stuff. So in particular, boards may find companies exposed to new risk related to service disruption. And we faced it in many people here. Capital allocation, the capital allocation was not really smooth. The assets, liquidity, cybersecurity, key persons, now they're traveling, they don't want to work because there's a fear factor. And today with Corona or the COVID-19, and believe me, and I'm sure everybody faced it in the first 4 or 6 weeks, the fear factor was big. You're afraid on yourself, you're afraid on your family, your kids, and most importantly, your dads and grandpas. So with this, you know, human and people react differently. So were we prepared for that? Okay. So they fail to meet emerging best practices on communication and treatment of employees. Over the long term, we expect boards to take a critical look at the effectiveness of their company risk policies to ensure they are prepared for a wide variety of potential risks and events. So I will talk here about COVID. This is the framework that we usually refer to. And if you see here, I will try to explain it quickly. This top part here, okay, this is the governance part, okay? And the below is the management part. So you can see clearly there is a separation between governance and management. And this is one of the main drivers of COVID, or the governance system. And on the right side is actually the monitoring and assurance and so on. So we have three parts: the governance, the management, and the reporting. So on the governance side, I will just go with some objectives. Before they were called processes, and with the COVID 2019, now they are called objective from this whole COVID core model. First one is ensure governance framework, which I'm talking about this, okay? Governance framework settings and maintenance. So we must ensure there's a governance structure, ensure that the board is aware, and so on. As we mentioned, the other three ones, which ensure benefit delivery, risk optimization, and resource optimization. These are the outputs of the whole ICT or ICT governance. This is what you get. And today, before it was ensure, today it's ensure stakeholder engagement. Before it was ensure the owners engagement or benefits of the owners. Today this has changed because the stakeholder word has changed. It's no more just the investors, it's many people. Even you can go with the CSR, with the population, with the, and go beyond. And I will highlight here today another 2 or 3 processes or objectives that are essential in the IT governance. We talk about strategy. Is the strategy there? And when you open the objective, there's certain questions and maturity levels that you have to take into consideration. And each maturity level, it has to be, it goes from 1 or 0 to 5. And you have to have a maturity level depending on the regulator for a couple of years, 3.2 or 3, and on a long run over 5. So when you open this objective, inside of it, you have the questions. Each objective of these, it has an objective, it has practices. You have to check these practices. Do you have them or you don't have them? And this is where you start elevating your IT governance. And it goes in every single little aspects of IT. So strategy, quality, risk, security, data, human resource, budgeting, managed programs, and even, managed projects here, and here managed programs, because, things are no longer just one project, it becomes bigger, now it's programs. Manage IT changes, okay, manage organization changes, and it goes through all of these checks, balances, it gives you the alerts, it gives you the controls, where supposed do you have them or you don't have them. Okay, manage operation, manage problems, manage continuity. And on a reporting, you have system internal controls, which is the audit and everything, manage performance and conformance, manage compliance with external, because this is very important. We cannot forget that we have external compliance. And of course, manage assurance. Okay, let me clear this. So this framework talks about a lot of stuff in the IT, and not all of us actually goes in them and actually start evaluating these. And this is the beauty of IT governance. So today, with the current state, I have highlighted 2 different colors, okay? Red and green. On the red side is more of a higher, high-level governance and management that talks about, do you have a governance structure today? And today, in the COVID time, do you have a governance structure or you don't? Do you have risk optimization? Do you have strategy? Are we looking into the strategy? Are we managing risk? And the most importantly today is human resource. Because your biggest failure is the human resource today. And the biggest challenge is us humans. We are the biggest challenge. Today we are spread all over, house, work, traveling. So the data is also with us. And on top, the risk of the people themselves, their fear, their factors of the fear. They don't want to work, they don't want to come back. There's a lot of things. And more on the operational side, which is the assets and operations on the green parts, manage continuity, and okay, manage security. Somebody is drawing with me. Okay. Hossam? Okay. So what are the main COVID objective and process today that are needed?
Yes, Rudy?
Yes, I just wanted to see if these lines were done by you. Then you don't see them? Okay, no problem. I just see some annotations here. Let me try to clear them. Okay, it worked. Thank you. Sorry for that. So the first objective is manage critical assets. Today, we have highlighted the board role. We have highlighted the governance structures and what we're supposed to do. We have to highlight today on the ground what's happening. With all of these risks, we have to really go and manage the current risks, which is, first one is the assets. The second one, and I will be talking about them. Sorry for that. Okay. The second one is manage network and connectivity. The third one is maintain business resilience. And the fourth one is manage endpoint security. Okay. So the first one, which is managed critical assets, if we go back to this, you can see it here. It's BAI 09, managed assets on the green side. So I'm talking more on the day-to-day practical things that we're supposed to view and follow up, because this is the most risky place today. So on the managed assets, while the physical office is left behind when employees work from home, the network infrastructure and must be maintained and operational. So are they maintained? Okay, we've seen some cases here that some people didn't even log into the servers to see the maintenance, to see the operation of these servers. And now we have service continuity. We have a lot of problems that arise from this because people are afraid, especially the first 4 to 6 weeks. And it took time for us to get used to working from home. Manage network and connectivity security. So here we're talking about DSS 05. It is important to shift the way we think about managing incoming connection interaction with the enterprise established network security. So how many of you here didn't have VPN and now all of a sudden we need VPN? We need to access our office. And there's a lot of companies. And with this brought a big security issue with it. How, why, encryption, how would you access, file management, who access, on what purpose, what time? There's a lot of questions about this. And this process or objective under the COVID-19, it goes deep in it and talks about it. Maintain business resilience, okay? Business resilience for the enterprise is going through the ultimate test right now due to COVID-19 pandemic. It is continuity. Was your business affected? Can somebody share his experience here about his business being affected and not operational? If somebody is ready, please open the mic and do share a minute or two if you may. Somebody ready to share his experience? Okay, I will continue. And the last one, which is the endpoint security. With remote work, one of the most challenging shifts is the inability to secure the physical, and manage the endpoints. Today, in a traditional work, we had our desktops, full security, millions of dollars has been invested to secure this environment. And now all of a sudden, we implemented VPNs, we implemented work from home, laptops, non-corporate laptops, usually they are encrypted, special VPNs or whatever, or even at least some corporate programs and security and encrypted. And now everybody has laptops, there's no encryption, files are going through the roof. GDPR is not there. If you deal with European customers, nobody is following up on GDPR. Things has changed, dynamics has changed. I might be compromised files. My laptop is not fully secure. I don't have all the technology. I barely have an antivirus. Phishing has grown. If you see per day, 20 million emails is produced on the phishing. So things has changed dramatically with this. So let's talk about IT governance, red flags and controls. And this is very important. So ICT governance is nothing but the way in which IT functions, okay? It includes a system of rules. I'm repeating this again from the beginning. Rules, processes that direct and control information and technology. The aim of enforcing ICT governance is to balance the interest of the company shareholders or stakeholders. ICT governance integrates best practices to ensure that organization is aligned, or the IT is aligned with and supports the business objective. And this is the most important thing. Imagine doing a project that has no business benefits. Delivery value, manage risk associated with IT, manages its resources effectively and efficiently, and manage its own performance. So why did I repeat this? To have a look again on the things that we can address using the controls, and I will go with them now. Culture and ethics again, people, services, process, organization, principles, and information. As you can see, it really touches every single little bit of information technology. So what are the ICT red flags and controls? Here we can say available as a control, non-available as a red flag. Monitoring by the board. Is the board monitoring IT or ICT? Is he involved in it? Not just the budgeting. Some companies said yes. After asking the second and the third questions, it was budgeting only. He's not aware of the KPIs. He's not aware of the resource performance. He's not aware of anything related what's happening in the IT. There's no reporting. There's no service level agreement. There's no service uptime. All of this has to go up. Internal audit of ICT governance system and robust policies. The audit function has to also audit the ICT governance. Is it working? Are we talking about structures? Is the structures there? Is the risk management, IT risk management there? So this is the part of the audit. So having it as a control, not having it is a red flag. Proper balance of power. This is very important, and this is purely a governance part. Is all the powers with one person? Before, especially with the CEO, they used to give him a lot of powers. Today they started, but in the region we have a problem, and I'm sure many of you will talk about it, is family businesses. And they like to keep power, okay? They assign their friends, their moms, their sons to the board as long as they have powers. And this is where slowly and slowly things will start be shifting, because they will, once they understand that they need an independent board, this is for their help and it helps them. Again, as you say, I'm talking about the board because this is where everything starts. So performance-based remuneration, again, this is a governance part, but in the end, if the IT CIO or whatever is superly paid, and we've seen a lot of issues and problems happening from this. This can ruin the company. Monitoring by large shareholders and other stakeholders, are they monitoring or they are not? This is a big question. So again, any of these is a big red flag, no. The board should also monitor ICT strategy. Is the ICT strategy monitored? Does it report to the ICT Governance Committee? Is there a structure of ICT Governance Committee? Is this strategy aligned with the business? And this is where the questions start coming. Is this strategy aligned to the business? Is the budgeting aligned to the business? Is it bringing value, return on investment, total cost of ownership? All these questions are needed today. And if you don't have this ICT governance role, nobody will ask them. Or they will ask, what's the budgeting? Is it okay? Is it not okay? Do we need it or not? And that's it. 3-4 questions, and that's it. Whereas if you introduce this ICT governance function between the board, which has board people, but they are more dedicated in the IT governance or the corporate governance, then more questions will start arising. Is it performing? How was last year strategy performed? Did we do it? Did we achieve it? And nobody usually asks these. Was the return on investment done? Was the capabilities done? Yeah, all of this. So the second point, ICT major plans of action, which goes to the strategies, the annual budget and business plans. Is it there or is it not there? Performance, who talks about performance? The service performance, nobody, the board wants to talk about ICT system performance or ICT people performance or ICT anything performance? Usually not. Because the board is really focused on something else. Today, when you introduce this new function or already available function and you give it a role, it really helps to ask these questions. ICT major capital expenditure, acquisition and diversity tutor. Is anybody asking about the acquisitions that has been done or just the strategic projects and the rest of the IT, whatever happening under the IT acquisitions, nobody asks? ICT governance practices and changes from what we've seen on these 40 objectives. ICT compensation and succession planning. Is there a succession planning? Is there compensation aligned or just he's done good and then I'll give him $1 million bonus? And is he doing his job? He's not doing his job. He's getting $1 million. If he leaves, what happens? Because we've seen here a lot of fraud under this that takes a lot of deals outside the channels, and the CIO or the information technology manager has done a lot of deals outside to benefit his pocket using the position that he has. So here you start asking all of these questions. The ICT risk policy, I've seen many companies, they talk about risk, but never IT risk. It only mentions cybersecurity because this is on the new agenda of the board, and because there's some circulars and regulators, they're talking more about the cybersecurity and business email compromise, BEC, but nobody talks about the IT project management risks, the employee risks, the systems risks. Nobody talks about them. Immature ICT risk management and non-investment in information technology and defective and non-existing controls, particularly non-financial, has to happen. They have to focus today on them. We cannot just leave it like this. So again, all of these, the availability of them are controls and non-availability of them are red flags. I'd like to thank you all for your participation today. And I'm ready to take any question that you have. I have shared also my LinkedIn profile if you would like to connect. And I'm ready to take questions. Hi, Hossam.
Rudy, hi, how are you? Do you see the questions in the chat?
Okay.
All right. So we start with question from Antonio.
How is the concept of would affect the work-life balance? Antonio, are you here?
Tony Villamor?
Do you mind asking the question? Can you unmute yourself, please?
All right, until he comes back.
Yes.
Okay, I'm back.
Hey,
Okay.
Antonio.
I'm trying. No, the rationale of the question is that because of the work from, let's be honest, or at least like based from my experience, it's like, and because of this, I like work from home. However, this made me work until sometimes 2 in the morning. Unlike
I'm relating. I'm just relating with you. I'm just laughing because I'm relating. Yes.
That pre-COVID era where you leave the office say 6, 7 in the evening, you come home, you don't open the computer. I do that. However, now it's more of I open my computer 12 midnight, open it again 9 o'clock in the morning, and then work from 9. Although in a way, some productivity issues affects, like washing the dishes, because in the office you have you have someone to wash the dishes. Now here, no. Then again, in sorry, I'm getting long, huh? In the corporate world, we always profess that, oh, we have to have like a work-life balance. The debate becomes like work separation, or yeah, something like that. And now work from home. How do we get this? I think it's more psychological issues or concerns, but then again, it's like.
Let me ask you something, Antonio. Sorry, where are you from? Or where are you actually working?
Ana Masri.
Masri. All right. You're in Egypt?
Hossam is like laughing. Yes, I'm in Egypt.
Okay, perfect. Now, because let me tell you something.
He's my Filipino brother. He becomes Egyptian by blood. And he's living there, I'm not living there, so...
Lebanese first, and then I became an Egyptian.
Right.
Antonio, let me tell you something first. Culture has a big role in our region. I'm not gonna say the West or the European today are more advanced in terms of this work from home, but they had it before. But we passed a certain time, and I will talk, that's why I was laughing, because I'll talk about myself. Calls 11 p.m., 12 p.m., 1 a.m., weekends, holidays, I think they don't exist anymore. And this is where it's up to you. Again, the only thing I saw as, I will talk about the leaders, but I will start by you and me. We have to say no and not to be really shy, because if we are shy, they will be on our back for all, because work now does not stop, and work never stopped anyhow. Work was always 24 hours, but we left office and then the servers or the systems or the operations or the processes or whatever, they continued. Sometimes some people had shifts, some people didn't, but in the end of the day, there were certain things that can be done. But now with the communication, because work from home has proven it is valid to work from home, regardless you are in your pajamas, in your shorts, sleeping, it doesn't matter anymore. Now with this comes the leadership part, and this is where we really have to educate, starting by me and by Hossam and the rest, and the associations and whatever. We have to start educating, especially in our regions more, that in the work from home culture, you need to start cutting, okay? I know, like, for example, in Europe, and especially in France, you're not allowed to receive one email after 6. And this is an awareness, a maturity of a whole civilization and society. For us to reach there, it's gonna take us a long time. We're learning something new today. Work from home is new for me. I've worked from home for a while, but it wasn't like this. This is a new kind of work from home. And you feel exhausted. I'm sure you feel exhausted because you're now overworking. All right. So again, it starts by you, and hopefully we can take it slowly with our leaders. I have another question. Okay, slides. I sent Mr. Hossam the slides. You will be receiving them in an email post the event for sure. All right. Do we have another question? Anybody would like to ask a question?
I wanted just to add to Tony's question and your answer that it is a discipline. You know, it's also it depends on us on educating our companies and organizations on how much I can take and when is the cutoff time for me to receive business and be expected to reply to business requests. So we should initiate that if our superiors do not Ahlan Yahya do not understand that. So it is that we need to create that work balance, work personal or life balances. We all looked for a time to stay home, and even if we work from home before COVID-19, and now we have it, so we should not complain about it. And we should organize ourselves, our time at home between washing dishes and businesses, and cut off the boss when the boss comes at 12 at midnight and send us a business request. I should get up and say, I'm sleeping, you know, I'm not gonna answer it, boss, good night. If there are no questions, I actually would like to say that you have touched on a lot of important topics for us as internal auditors or auditors in general, and as fraud examiners. The area of the ICT is usually an area with which I call the black box of any organization. You know, many of the managers or top management, senior management, board members do not know much about ICT, and auditors, especially internal auditors, if they don't have an IT specialist auditor in the team, it is mostly ignored, or it's audited from the top of the surface. You know, how many times you change passwords, you know, how's the access and not access and so on. They don't dig deep inside. And that's why we're allowed now to outsource areas that we're not expert in or we don't know in. So one of the areas is outsourced in most of the case in businesses is IT, but still we don't have is not receiving the importance and the attention that it is needed to be well addressed. I think the COVID-19, one of the positive things of COVID-19 is brought so much awareness of IT to the world, and without being going to school or sitting down in a classroom to be educated about it, we all have been educated from the news and so on learning about how to use ITs, and a lot of more professionals now are Googling and looking into how to use IT in conducting the business. Where is the major risk? And the question was asked, were we ready for this? I don't think we were, and I don't think we have the grounds and solid grounds for us. So we're learning, we're moving forward while we're
fighting.
We're building
Yes.
a platform and structure and grounds for this while we're going.
True.
You know,
True.
as you said, there are so many countries, there are so many organizations are ahead of us or ahead of many organizations. But this is the risk. How many fraudsters, for an example, can use the opportunity of you not having a solid structure for ICT with mapping all the risks?
This is an excellent question.
Evaluating them and mapping whatever control that you have or you don't have against those in order to build up this. And I think we're going into a whole different era, a whole different switch in focus on areas of business to give the ICT more focus nowadays and in the future, because it's not only now, but it's going to stay with us for quite some time.
Yes, indeed, indeed. And this is an excellent question. This is an excellent question. Just let me re-explain something. Why I was focused on the board, and it's the biggest challenge, the board. Okay, you can
I mean, your focus on the board is very good, because sorry to interrupt, but because I'm frustrated from that board word, because in most of the boards, we don't have, I'm sorry to say, in many boards, we don't have the right people.
True.
To direct the organizations with the kind of experiences that the organizations want. So if you have an IT specialist in the board, then you will have an ICT committee, subcommittee of the board. You will have a task force for things will be different if you have skilled, qualified people on the board. Sorry to interrupt, and I'll let you.
No problem. Let me tell you something. And Dr. Ziad Faris, which is the central governor of Jordan, central bank, the governor of Central Bank of Jordan.
Right.
I'm going to take the case of Jordan, because I think I know we have a lot of audience from different countries, but from the 3 countries today of the chapters, the most advanced governance regulations today is in Jordan from these 3. And he was very smart to introduce a full governance framework and circular ta'meem about governance. Okay, we all know, we all have the same challenges. Family business is the biggest challenge today that we face. And with family business comes, now the companies are big, but they don't know IT. They don't even care about IT. They don't even care about how it works. But today, IT is a risk. So how would you bridge that gap between the family businesses and non-family businesses, but they are also not independent? And this is where governance comes in, and the corporate governance comes in. And on top, you add to it the ICT governance. So to answer your question, if the businesses don't have the skills or the knowledge or whatever, this is where the regulators are coming and putting new regulations. Okay, why are regulations being implemented? Because there are certain risks that happened over the years, all right, that made something more convincing to have controls on it. And ICT governance is just another control that you need to take care of. IT is not an outside player. IT is inside your companies, and you need skills. And this is where the circular specifies 2 things. First If you don't have the resources, of course, go and outsource the resources and create this board committee, which has 3 board members. Okay, so it's somehow forcing these board members to have literacy of information technology. If no regulator, nobody will do it. We'll keep it as it is. And when risks happen and fraud happens, okay, but then comes the penalties, and then comes the reputation, and there comes, so not to shake all of this, this is where the regulator is actually trying to fill the gap of such a thing. And with corporate governance, because you have to introduce corporate governance with it, which was before, corporate governance comes and gives clarity to how things function, to the role of the board, all right? And to the role of independent, because with the corporate governance, it depends on the countries, but for Lebanon, I can tell you that he mandated at least 3 independent board members. Independent means people of skills, people of education, and people of knowledge, not just family members, wives, husbands, children, because I see today many different associations. Who are the shareholders? The family members. So when you come and put in the board a circular and say, this is how it's supposed to be, this is helping us work better. I will try, I have to ask somebody, is anybody from Jordan works in the banking industry here?
Many of them.
Can somebody just tell us about if they know anything about the ICT governance circular? How was it implemented? Can they share an experience?
COVID-19 has been imposed by the central bank to be implemented in all the banks.
Is anybody from the audience, participants, can help us? Come on, guys, make this interactive. Okay, so the thing is, it's more of a, you know, regulator. This is where the regulator comes and play, and this is the maturity today. Again, the most advanced today in ICT governance is Jordan Central Bank. They did an amazing job, and a funny part is that CBI, Central Bank of Iraq, has followed the same steps of Jordan. So in the region today, we have Jordan, we have Iraq. In February, in March, in April, Turkey has introduced a governance system, ICT governance system, but they did not include COVID. They just included everything else without referring to COVID. So you have to go into the committees, you have to go into the risk management, the audit structures, and so on. But they didn't refer to COVID. So I think this is a smarter move. If you want to move into the ICT governance, you go into steps. Maybe this is the first step, and maybe next year they introduce, or the year after, COVID-19. This is to answer you.
Yep. We have time for 1 or 2 more questions, if any. Statements, not questions. English,
Issues,
Arabic.
Issues. Red flags, controls needed, fraud scenarios.
The whole ICT is a red flag. The whole ICT is a red flag, you know.
هذا حابب يسأل سؤال بالعربي.
Yeah. After I listened to your presentation today, you know, I'm scared.
I hope it was informative and it gave value.
Well, I think it was, and there are a lot of information in it that one can take away from. Other information that confirms what we see in the market and in the organizations. I think there are a few items there, sufficient items, I must say, for people to go back and do a checklist on their organizations to see how, especially during the time of COVID-19 and being virtual, how data is secured and protected. That's a one scary item by itself. That again, many organizations were not prepared for employees to take company computers, go home, share information, and work from home with unsecured networks, you know, and whether from home or from cafes or from whatever. And so we'll see. Once again, I would like to thank you very much, Rudy, for being with us today, and hope that we continue our sessions, important sessions on ICT, because it's the subject of the current time. So I would kindly ask you to bring up other subjects and that relates to the current situation and how to conduct business safely is something that I would like to ask you. Thank you very much for sharing your valuable time, your valuable knowledge with us. And thank you everyone who joined us today. Again, for your time, for support, participation, and look out for the future sessions. Most probably we will have one very soon with the chair of the board of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners to come and talk to us about fraud in the time of COVID-19 and how fraud examiners be prepared to such time and what to watch out for. There is another one session that will be coming soon, again with the same, with participation of the same associations and even more associations from the US wants to join us, and from the region, and the same from Lebanon and Egypt, Jordan wants to join us. We're going to talk about quality assurance, external quality assurance review for internal audit departments. And that will be most probably sponsored or information shared by the IIA Global. So watch out and see you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you all again. Thank you all again for participating.
Thank you, Yahya Abul Abbas, for joining.
Value.
Thank you, Hossam. I'm sorry I missed your webinar today. I put in my calendar at 7 o'clock. It was actually at 6. Thank you, Rudy. I think that was a
Thank you for.
I will be there next time. Thank you so much, Hossam.
Yes, Hossam will be sharing with you later through email whoever attended the session recording of this.
And sorry, this time we did not prepare for CPEs, continuing professional education certifications, but we want to, for next time, to have the accreditation in order to provide for CPEs. But as this session has been offered by the IIA chapters and ISACA chapters and ACFE chapters, anything we provide is accredited by any professional organization around the world. So keep the documentation when you the slides when you receive them, in case you're asked for proof. So it goes from without saying that whatever we offer is accredited because we represent the global organizations. Thank you very much and see you soon. All the best.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Hossam.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Nas. Thank you, Bashar. Thank you, Tariq. Mahmoud Baguri. Tariq Sharif. See you soon all.